about clauses and phrases, and then I have uploaded the sentence structure as well, but we didn't discuss them in the sentence structure. So today we are going to discuss the sentence structure. As you know that we discussed about phrases and clauses, and then what is an object, what is a complement, and all of them. Now, those were the parts of a sentence. Now, what is the structure of a sentence if we try to discuss them on the basis of clauses, that what are the clauses, if it consists of a single clause or two clauses or three clauses, or depending on the number of clauses, depending on the type of clauses, there are like types of sentences that we need to discuss. As you remember in the previous class, I told you that there are types of sentences. When we Google the topic types of sentences, we can have a list of sentences, or we can get a list of sentences like interrogative sentences, negative sentences, or so many. We have been reading all those types of sentences since our very first classes. But those are very easy. As I told you that you can pick any book, or you can Google it, you can search it, or you can have the stuff over there. Today, I'm talking about the structure of the sentence, or the types of the sentence on the basis of its structure. Right? Let me share the screen with you. If you feel that I have an internet issue, or is there any problem in my voice, tell me, because then I have to quit the class. This is very important, a class. I will arrange this class another day. So, right. So you see, in the previous week, as I uploaded some slides, like these phrases and clauses, and then the sentence structure, right? It was the sentence structure. This is the document. If I'm sharing the screen with you, right? Can you see the sentence structure? If I'm sharing the screen with you, there are contents like clauses and phrases, simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, and then there is a practice exercise in the same document. आप लोग को मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Say yes. Okay. And am I sharing the screen with you? Can you see the document that I have shared? Okay, so these are the clauses and phrases we discussed in the previous class, all about the subject and the object, the complement, and all of them. We have independent and dependent clauses as well. In the independent, we discussed that they, all those clauses which do not have any subordinating conjunction or a relative pronoun, they can stand alone. They are called independent clauses, and we can also call them as a simple sentence. Dependent clauses are those clauses which starts either with a coordinating, subordinating conjunction, or with a relative pronoun like who, that, or which, etc. So those clauses are called as dependent clauses because they depend for its complete sense on another clause. Now, the sentence structure, if you see, we have simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, and complex compound sentences. In the structure of the sentence, we have these four types of sentences. Complex compound sentence is basically the extension of complex sentences. We can have more independent clauses, or we can have more dependent clauses, depending on the idea. If you want to bring continuity and we can say something you want to go with the story. So in that story, you cannot use choppy sentences or cut sentences. You have to use some long sentences in order to take the reader along with you. So for that very purpose, what you do, you use complex and compound sentences. जैसे आप लोगों ने कभी novels पढ़े होंगे, कभी stories पढ़ी होंगी. In those novels and stories, you might have noticed one thing, that sometime you start with the single sentence and you end with that particular sentence till the end of the paragraph. So there can be one paragraph of a single sentence. It depends on the idea. You do not want to just end with the idea. You want to take the reader along with you. कि आप you want to make a scene over there, right? Or to create a scene and image in the reader's mind. So for that very purpose, we use complex compound sentences. So it's not necessary that in the stories we always have complex and compound sentences. We can have simple sentences. So if there is a good writing, or you see that it's very organized or a very good writing, I mean like compact writing or concise writing, उसमें सारी जो structure wise sentences है, I mean like there are 4 types of sentences on the basis of structure. You can find all those types of sentences in that particular writing. So a writing must not be choppy, like it should not have only simple sentences. A writing must not be only narrations or stories. It should not have only complex and compound sentences. There should be a mixture of sentences. I mean, like you should use the simple sentences, compound sentences, and complex compound sentences in an equal ratio while you are writing something. Okay? So we will talk about these things while writing the paragraph. And that is the next topic. We will be discussing this topic after midterm exam, inshallah. So starting with the sentence structure, as we discussed in the previous class, that a sentence is actually the unit of writing, and it starts with a capital letter and ends with a period, or sometime an exclamation mark or interrogative exclamation mark, or with a question mark, or sometime with a full stop or a period, right? So it can be a single word, like we can say stop, or it can be a clause, or it can be 2 clauses, or it can be 3 clauses. So depending on this structure, let me open a tab and explain it to you. So I'm discussing structure of the sentence. In the structure of a sentence, as I said, that it consists of, like in the structure we discussed that whether a sentence consists of a single clause, or we have 2 clauses or 3 clauses, or what is the type of the clause, whether it is an independent clause or a dependent clause. So there are 4 types, or 4 basic types of sentences on the basis of structure, and they are simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence. There are so many extensions of complex sentences. One is the compound complex sentence, and the other is, you might have heard about conditional sentences, compound complex sentence. So conditional sentences are also the extensions of complex sentences. Because in the conditional sentences, if you see, we have a particular subordinating conjunction F, which makes a clause as an dependent clause. So when we have dependent clause and one independent clause, it makes a complex sentence. So complex compound sentence and conditional sentences are actually the extensions of complex sentences. They are extended. I mean, they are the subtypes of complex sentences. But still, we discuss the compound complex sentence as a fourth type of sentence on the basis of its structure. So you see, simple sentence is that sentence in which we have only one clause, and that clause is the independent clause. So we have only one independent clause which can stand alone, and we call it as a simple sentence because it starts with a capital letter and it ends with a period or a sign of uh, exclamation, or with a question mark, or maybe um, some exclamation. It can be just a single word as well. For example, if I say stop, so with a sign of exclamation, so it means there is an intended subject, you stop, right? So it is an independent clause. You left, and she goes to school, or something like that. So these are the sentences as simple sentences because there is no other subordinating conjunction or a coordinating conjunction, nothing at all. So we call it as a simple sentences. Simple sentences are very easy to use, but they are actually very choppy, right? So if you are writing any paragraph and you want to have a connection, I mean, like when you have a statement, for example, if there is a topic like who changed your mother, who changed your life. So you say, my mother changed my life, and you write, my mother changed my life. So this is one simple sentence, and then you explain that thing, that statement that you make, that your mother, you change your life. So you have to make connection. So you cannot use like choppy sentences. The choppy sentence, I mean, the simple sentence can be just the topic sentence, but the rest of the explanatory sentences in while writing a paragraph, you cannot use that simple sentence. You have to use either compound sentences or complex sentences in order to have a logical reason for the statement you made. So that was just a simple statement. Now, the compound sentences are those sentences which are having two independent clauses, at least two independent clauses are there. So two independent clauses. Now, if there is an independent clause, I said that they can stand alone. An independent clause can stand alone, so there is no need of a connection. But still, in the compound sentences, we have two independent clauses, so they are very strong. They have to be joined by something a very strong, either a very strong conjunction or either a very we can say strong punctuation mark. So we should have a punctuation mark, or either we should have a conjunction. लेकिन वो जो conjunction है, that should be a very strong conjunction. So coordinating conjunction, there are three ways actually to make compound sentences. Three ways to make a compound sentences, are more than three ways. Sometimes we use punctuation mark, right? A semicolon. Semicolon, we use a semicolon to make a compound sentence. I mean, we join two independent clauses with a semicolon because semicolon is a stronger punctuation mark than comma. So comma is a weaker one, and semicolon is a stronger punctuation mark. So when we want to join two independent clauses, we have to have either a colon or either a semicolon. So there are, one way is to use a semicolon. The other way is to use a colon. There are two other ways that we have to use a coordinating conjunction. So sometimes we use the coordinating conjunction to join two independent clauses. And you know the coordinating conjunction, it is and, but, yet, so, or for, etc. So they are fanboys, coordinating conjunction. So there are ways that we can make the compound sentences, and they are, you see, in the coordinating conjunction, number one is to make it with a coordinating conjunction. And the coordinating conjunctions are Fanboys, right? Fanboys means F for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. These are the 7 coordinating conjunctions in English. Number 2 is either with a punctuation mark, with or without any conjunctive adverb. So punctuation mark, with or without conjunctive adverb. So over here, I'm going to use the like to discuss the uses of conjunctive adverbs. That how can we may use the conjunctive adverbs in the sentences? So punctuation mark with or without conjunctive adverb, and number 3 is with a colon. Colon is also a punctuation mark. So punctuation mark, it's specifically the semicolon I'm talking about, right? So there are 3 basic ways. One is the coordinating conjunction, the other one is with a semicolon with or without any conjunctive adverb, and the third one is the colon. I'm going to discuss with the sentences with a coordinating conjunction, with the punctuation marks, and I'll be just discussing 2 or 3 examples with a colon, and the rest I'm putting it to you to search it and read about it, that how can we make compound sentences with a colon. So starting with the coordinating conjunction, it's the primary function of uh, the coordinating conjunction is to make the compound sentences, because they are the stronger conjunctions and they join equal parts. So when we have 2 independent clauses, they are basically equal parts. So for these joining these equal parts, there we have coordinating conjunctions. So when we join these 2 independent clauses, as a result, we have compound sentences. So there are examples. There can be very simple example. Just say when we have coordinating conjunctions, I told you that they are stronger conjunctions. So we can put a comma with it because we have a stronger conjunction. When we have a conjunctive adverb, it's not that stronger. So we have semicolon as a stronger punctuation mark as a result. So when we use semicolon, it's a stronger one. And then we have to use a weaker conjunction, and that is the conjunctive adverb. So if we are using coordinating conjunction is a stronger one, we can use a comma in that sentence as well. So we have so many examples. You will see that why I'm saying it is stronger and that is weaker. This one is stronger and that one is weaker. So you see, I like coffee and Mary likes tea. I like coffee and likes tea. So we have, you see, this is a comma because we have a stronger coordinating conjunction, or a conjunction is a stronger one. So we can put a comma as well. We can also use but. It is with the use of and. Ali ran fast, but he couldn't catch Hamza, right? Or we can also use with the or. can also use with a nor and a for and a yet and so many. Like, yet I have known him for a long time. Yet I have never understood him. We can also use so. He was feeling sick, so he went to the doctor. Right? Now, coming to the second one, these are with the coordinating conjunction. Coming to the second one, which is the punctuation marks, specifically semicolon with or without conjunctive adverb. So when it is without any conjunctive adverb or with any conjunctive adverb, let's discuss them. He studied very little. Second, I should write the second one. He studied very little. He failed the exam. Semicolon. He failed the exam. Now, if you know, if you are noticing in the first example, I like coffee. This is an independent clause, and Mary likes tea. This is again an independent clause, which is joined by and, which is a coordinating conjunction. Will Ali go or will Sami go? Right. So with these, both of them are independent clauses, but they are joined with a coordinating conjunction. Or I have known him for a long time. It's one clause, and I have never understood him. It's another clause. Both of them are independent, which is joined by yet. He was feeling sick, so he went to the doctor. Now, again, you see both of them are independent clauses, which is joined by so, which is a coordinating conjunction. Now, in the second example, with the punctuation marks, particularly the semicolon with or without conjunctive adverb, you see he studied very little. He failed the exam. So both of them are independent clauses joined with a semicolon, right? So you can remove a semicolon. You can have a semicolon, and you can also add a conjunctive adverb with the semicolon as well. Well, let me discuss these semicolon without any conjunctive adverb, and then we will discuss how to use a semicolon with a conjunctive adverb. Now, the sky is cloudy. It's going to rain. Semicolon, it's going to rain. Right? These are the examples with the semicolon. Now, there can be with conjunctive adverbs as well. Like in the two, we can have put a. Now, look at these examples. What he did was incredible. In fact, I can hardly believe it. Incredible, semicolon, in fact, comma, I can hardly believe it. Now, salad is not expensive. Moreover, it's very healthy. Moreover, comma, it's very healthy. Now, notice this thing that if you are making compound sentences, see in the first one, uh, after one clause, I'm putting a semicolon, right? And then in the middle, we have a conjunctive adverb, which is an adverb, but it is actually working as a linking word. So we can call it as conjunction. So in fact, is a linking verb, linking word, which is linking two things. What he did was incredible, and I can hardly believe it. These two clauses are joined by in fact, which is a conjunctive adverb. Over here, it is working as a conjunction linking two clauses. And also this punctuation mark, which is semicolon, both of them, these conjunctive adverb and semicolon, are working as a linking words. They are linking two clauses, right? So we have a semicolon, and in fact is a conjunctive adverb. But keep this in mind that if you are using any conjunctive adverb, after the conjunctive adverb, you should have a comma. If you're using a coordinating conjunction, before the coordinating conjunction, you should have a comma, right? You should have a comma because it is it's necessary. Sometimes you do not have in many the sentences, when it is like in the novels or in the stories, when there is a continuity, you can avoid using the comma. But for most of the time, when it is in case of conjunctive adverb, you have to use the comma after the conjunctive adverb. And before that conjunctive adverb, you can have a semicolon as well. So whenever you are reading something, try to focus on the use of conjunctive adverb, the semicolon and the comma, where we use them, where people use them. So whenever you get any time and you start reading newspapers or any other stuff that you are interested in, try to focus on the use of the semicolon, the use of the comma, and the use of the coordinating conjunction, the use of the conjunctive adverb in the sentence. It will help you a lot in writing, right? So you can write more precisely and concisely by having the knowledge about conjunctive adverb, semicolon, colon, and all of them, right? We can have more examples on, we can say these conjunctive adverbs as well. We can use the conjunctive adverb with the semicolon. So there are so many examples. If I go with the examples, there are so many. And there is another, as I discussed, the third one is the colon. Right? Colon are basically used in some of the sayings, or maybe the important quotations, something like that. We can also find compound sentences in the sayings and the quotations, and like the famous quotations and the famous sayings of the people. But over there, you can have no comma, right? For example, if there is a saying, a man is as old as he feels, and a woman is as old as she looks, right? So you can have a compound sentence in the sayings as well. Like now in this sentence, you see, a man is as old as he feels. Now, comma, and a woman is as old as she looks. So it's very, now these are the uses of compound sentences. There is a time to speak and a time to be silent. There is a time to speak and a time to be silent. You can lead, this is a very famous saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Right? So sometimes we have a comma, sometimes we do not have, but it's actually a compound sentence. A man is as old as he feels, and a woman is as old as she looks. So and is a conjunctive, a coordinating conjunction. There is a time to speak and a time to be silent. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? So it's a famous saying. So in the famous saying, we have compound sentences. We have compound sentences in the quotations as well. The famous quotations like "It shall not weary them," or "the ears, nor the ears condemn." And some causes happiness wherever they go. Others wherever they go. Others whenever they go. So this is a famous saying by Oscar Wilde, right? So people who have famous sayings, they are actually the compound sentences, either with a comma, either with a comma and a semicolon, a colon, or we can have a coordinating conjunction with a comma, we can have a semicolon with a conjunctive adverb. So to be certain is uncomfortable, but to be certain is ridiculous. It is to be certain is uncountable. To be certain is uncountable. Semicolon. But to be certain is ridiculous. Right? Are you listening to me?
Yes, miss.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So do you understand what I'm saying? Now, coming to the complex sentences, I'm putting the third one, which is like the colon to you people. Colon is this, right? I'm putting colon to you people to use it in sentences and see how we use colon to make compound sentences. So this is a homework for you people. It's a homework. Now, coming to the complex sentences, in the complex sentences, it's actually an independent clause, and we have at least one dependent clause in the complex sentence. So we have So in complex sentences, we have one independent clause and one dependent clause. In the compound sentences, if you see, we have two independent clauses. In the complex sentences, we have one independent and the other is the dependent clause. Independent clause is, it can stand alone. Dependent clause is that clause which starts either with a subordinating conjunction or with a relative pronoun, as we discussed in the clauses and phrases lecture. I was discussing this case, how what is like and what is a dependent clause. Why it is dependent? Because either it starts with a coordinating conjunction or with a relative pronoun like who, which, and that, etc. So those examples were like the complex sentences that when we have one independent clause and the other is the dependent clause. There are so many examples. When we have a sentence which starts with a subordinating conjunction, they are called subordinating clause. Sometime we have a relative clause in a sentence, so that single relative clause or that single subordinating clause make the sentence as complex sentences. Now, see the examples. If you will not study, you will fail the exam. If you will not study, you will fail the exam. So in this sentence, one is the dependent clause, if you will not study, because it starts with a subordinating conjunction. And that only subordinating conjunction, if, is making this clause as a dependent one, because it depends for the complete sense on another clause. If we remove this clause, you will fail the exam. This clause does not carry any complete sense. So for making the complete sense, we have to have another clause which is independent, right? There can be other examples. If Ali forgot the newspaper, Saima would punish him. If Ali forgot the newspaper, Saima would punish him. The book which is out of print now has all the information you need. Now, in this example, you see which is out of print now. This is a dependent clause, right? This is a dependent clause because it does not carry any complete sense because it starts with which is a relative pronoun, right? And there is another. He failed the test, though he had worked hard. Now, over here, though he had worked hard, though is actually a subordinating conjunction, and this clause is starts with the subordinating conjunction, so it is making it as a dependent clause. The teacher return the homework after she noticed the homework. Right? So after is actually a subordinating conjunction. The students are studying because they have a test tomorrow. Do you see the students are studying because they have a test tomorrow? This because they have a test tomorrow. This clause is actually a dependent clause, and this one is a dependent clause, and the other one is an independent clause. So both of them are joined by subordinating conjunctions. So we say they are complex sentences because complex sentences are made either with a subordinating conjunction or either with a relative pronoun. Right? Now we have complex compound sentences. As I said, that these are actually the extensions of the complex sentences. Compound sentence is actually that sentence in which we have two independent clauses and at least one dependent clause. Because this one dependent clause is making it as a complex sentence, and two independent clauses is bringing the characteristic of complex compound sentences. So when we mix two compound and complex sentences, we get compound complex sentences or complex compound sentences. So you see there is an example. This store or the store carries a lot of grocery items. And it has other services because it is the only store in the small town. And it has other services because it is the only store in the small town. This is a compound complex sentence or complex compound sentence because the store carries a lot of grocery items. Now, this is one independent clause. This is another independent clause, and this one is a dependent clause because it starts with a subordinating conjunction. So we have one dependent clause and two independent clauses, which make a compound complex sentence or complex compound sentences. So there can be so many examples if you work hard and try to learn the compound and complex sentences. You can have more examples, you can Google them, you can search them. But this is a homework for you people to read about the colon, that how can we make the compound sentences when we have a colon. Please also read about the famous sayings and the famous quotations of the people, because they always have compound sentences. So I hope you will do the same, what I suggested to you people. In the next in this week, if we get time, we will have another class. I'll arrange a class for you people, but if I get time, right? So and then we will discuss paragraph writing a bit. लेकिन अगर हमने नहीं discuss किया तो we will leave it to another next week. ठीक है? So I hope it is clear now. Is it clear for today?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
If there is any question, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'll leave.
मैम अगर पेपर जो किस तरह का होगा?
पेपर